Hello, and welcome to Travel Stories Unpacked, the travel podcast where we talk about all things, from the silly to the serious and everywhere in between. So if you love hearing different stories about travel and all the wild opinions that come along with that, then you have come to the right place. I'm your host, Ashley Newton, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me. I really appreciate it. For this week's episode, we are diving into a topic that I think is normally not really controversial, but it's gonna be because I have some takes, and that is girls' trips. We're unpacking girls' trips. And my guest for this episode is the wonderful Sarah Mayfield, who is a fellow, we're gonna say, girls' trip skeptic. So welcome to the show, Sarah.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. Sarah is also a fan of the show, so this is very exciting for me. And first of all, just thank you so much for watching, and now for coming on to share your own story.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here.
All right, so hopefully you guys are all already picturing girls' trips in your brains, right? You know, you're thinking laughter, fun, good times. Well, I'm about to shut that down. So I have been on one true girls trip my entire life, and honestly, it was a bit of a bust. And I feel like that is putting it nicely because I'm still very close with the two people that I went with. So I'm going to tell you my tale of woe. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Okay. So first, to set the scene a little bit, these are two friends that I have had my whole, basically whole life. I'm talking 20 plus years of friendship. And I've traveled with the one friend a little, but it was more with her family. We've never traveled as adults together. And my other friend never done so much as a weekend getaway with, right? So it was around my one friend's birthday, and honestly, she was going through a lot, and she asked us if we would come with her to Florida. She has family down there. So it was oh, awesome. We don't even need to figure out where we're going to stay. We're going to stay at her aunt's house. It's going to be so much fun. All the girlies at the beach for the first time. I was really excited. But right from the start, I didn't really approach it like a regular trip because the accommodations already figured out.
Yeah.
We didn't do any research or discussion about that. That was just sort of decided. And it was also around her birthday. So, I think that also was just oh, okay, this is sort of for you in a way moving forward. So we all get down there and it's great. Like I said, she was very nice, her aunt, to let us stay at the house. But have you ever done anything like that where you're staying in somebody else's home?
I've only done that with relatives.
Or
your other
own
family.
relatives.
Yes.
Okay.
Never with somebody else's family.
Yeah, so it was my first time doing that. And honestly, like I said, they're very kind, very gracious. But for me, that immediately put me a little bit on my best behavior. Not that I want to be on my worst behavior, but policing my actions a little bit, because it's very important to be a good guest, in my opinion. So just keep that in your brain. So then just the first thing that really stood out to me as far as was this sort of a good idea? It's such a small thing, but it was the first morning, because we got there kind of late, so the first night you're just kind of let's just shower and unpack and, say hi to everyone. And then the morning comes and everybody's oh, let's go get breakfast. And I'm okay, I'll probably just have something small. We just woke up. I'm not a breakfast person. Yeah. But we go to this breakfast place, and it is kind of expensive, really busy, and all the food, I'm not even kidding, was so heavy. It was just these huge, really big, expensive breakfasts, and that's how they wanted to start the day. So we start the day with that, and then immediately go to the beach. And it's West Palm Beach. It's hot, it's sandy, and I'm full of breakfast. It was just not how I would have started the day, right?
Yeah, same.
But then every single day we did the exact same thing. We went to the exact same place.
The exact same place.
The exact same place. Now, are you that sort of person that likes that? You're oh, we've already figured out, we know we like the food, and you find comfort in going to the same place? Or are you more like me, where you want to try new things?
If I'm at home, I will do that.
Yeah.
I will go to the same place. I know what I like. That's what I'm going to get. But when I go on vacation or someplace new, I like to try out a bunch of local places.
Yes.
Because you can't get them at home.
Exactly.
And I don't like to get the same thing. And I like to, especially if I go someplace new, I like whatever like their special is or what like is highly recommended or what they're known for. I like to get that. But the same thing, like if you're going to the beach and stuff, I don't want something so heavy.
I know. Oh my gosh. Like, it was just like not how I would start my day, right?
Yeah.
And then we did it every single day. So I was like, okay, like that's fine, but like I could probably get over it. You know, it's just like the morning. We'll just do the morning your way. And then the whole rest of the time we're at the beach, which is fine. We were only there for, it was like an extended weekend.
Yeah.
So I was fine with spending the whole time at the beach. But I'm going to ask you, Sarah, when you're at the beach, what do you like to do? What's your vibe?
It depends. If I'm with all adults and not my child, I just like to lay out, have a few beverages, you know, go into the water, depending where you're at.
Okay.
Because I like clear water.
I feel like the water was, I mean, it was Florida water, not like Carolina water.
Yes.
So, yeah. I mean, I'll take it all, though, just to be clear. I'm getting in the water.
So, yeah, once I get too hot, I'll like go in the water, but I just like to relax.
Yeah, then you would have had a blast because that was totally their vibe. And like, I can only do that for like an hour, you know what I mean? And then like, I want to swim. I want to walk the beach. I want to do literally anything. And that was just not happening. I mean, my one friend straight up was like, I'm not getting in the water. I think she got in the water like up to her waist just to pee in the ocean, which is another thing for me. I don't do that. I can't do that. So I'm like, all right, like a little judgy, a little whatever. But then I'm also the only one that needs to go find the public bathroom because everybody else is just doing their thing in the water. So it was just like these little things that kept piling up. And then my other friend who was more like, oh no, I'll get in the water with you. And she did, to her credit, the best that she could. But the very first day when everybody was, again, doing nothing, just laying on the beach, she fell asleep and she got probably the worst sunburn I've ever seen. She actually had a little necklace on, and the necklace was a cutout of a smiley face. And because it was a cutout of the actual smiley face, the sunburn on her chest was a smiley face. And it kind of reminded me of those like sun tattoos.
Yes.
Did you ever do those?
Yeah.
So like we're like just like laughing, and like I don't blame her at all. Like she is the sort of person that not only was her skin hurt, but like she hurt, you know, the rest of the days. So she got in the water a little bit, but otherwise it was literally just like me going in the water when I could, trying to kill time, trying to walk around, but otherwise just sort of sitting there praying that they would want to go on this walk with me or do anything. So from morning to afternoon, we're just not vibing really, you know? And then nighttime comes on the various different nights. We go out to dinner once. I love going out to eat. It is like one of my favorite things. And all they did was drag me to this breakfast place over and over and over with the same food. And then we go out to dinner once, and it was with her whole family. Because like I said, we were staying with her aunt. So I don't even really get to talk to them. We're at a table of like 12. That was the first time I tried Brussels sprouts though. They were delicious, and now they're in my rotation of foods that I love. So that is the one huge positive that came out of this trip was delicious Brussels sprouts.
I can fully understand that because the same thing happened to me with Brussels sprouts.
Really?
Yes, I went to a birthday dinner, and they got it as an appetizer. I'm like, oh, I don't really like them, and my aunt was like, oh, just try them. So I did, and I love them now. That's
so good.
If they offer it, I will get it.
Oh my God, yeah, I even like make them at home now. If you want my Brussels sprout recipe, let me know, and I will share it with you because it is delicious. But yeah, so like that was the most nightlife we had, but literally every single night they were in bed, practically asleep by 9 p.m. I am a night person, and I honestly had accepted we're never going out. I let that dream go, but I wanted to stay up. I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to, her aunt's house is really nice, so they had a pool and stuff and a hot tub. I was like, we could just sit here and talk, like, you know, like, I don't know, slumber party vibes.
Yeah, or like even play games or like do something. You don't need to be like out clubbing every night. Like, be up.
I would have taken anything. Yeah. So I'm like walking around talking to my boyfriend on the phone, scared of like all the little snakes and critters, because like I'm not real into that. But then she also was like, yeah, watch out, we have like bobcats and alligators. So I'm walking the property terrified and on the phone just like, wish you were here. Like, it's 9:10, everybody's asleep. What are you doing? And like, that's crazy to me that was the only way I could really kill my time was to be on the phone. Like, that is not a vacation mood to me at all.
No.
So then we're finally done. It's finally done. My emotions at this point are so, like, because honestly, I probably should have said something. And that's the one thing I learned. Like, I should have spoken up and been like, hey, like, I would really love to do this. Just one activity or one afternoon, if I really would have, like, not been so people-pleasy and just spoke up for myself, I think I wouldn't have been so, like, frazzled emotionally by the end. But I was done. I was so done. So then we're at the airport, and we have a connecting flight, of course, you know? So we're through security, we're at our gate waiting for our plane. And I, being the crazy nervous traveler that I am immediately checking our next flight. Yeah. It's canceled.
Oh.
Nobody told us when we were checking in. Lovely. So we go up to, you know, the lovely flight, the workers for the... what do you call that? Thank you. The airline employees. And I'm like, hey, so like this is right now showing it's canceled. They had no idea what I was talking about. Their system wasn't even updated. So like the app on my phone was more up to date than the system that they could access.
Nice.
Correct. And so we're sort of like, okay, let's go down to like their main desk and try to figure out what they advise that we do. Should we just get on another flight? Should we just stay here another night? Like, what do they recommend? And long story short, she was like, you should get a rental car if you can, and you should just get out of here. It was at that time when flights were really crazy and everything was getting canceled. So we took her word for it, and we were like, sounds good. So then we get in a rental car, and keep in mind, I got maybe like, I don't know, like 2 hours of sleep. Because even though they were going to bed, I was staying up. I was making the most of my time, thinking I could sleep the whole flight home, no big deal. So we finally get a rental car, and we drive the like 17, 18 hours home, and we drive it straight. We each take shifts, and everybody's, you know, sleeping and relaxing when it's not their turn. Mm-hmm. I can't do that at all. I can't get any sleep. So then I'm just listening to this podcast I hate. Hopefully you will not feel that way about this podcast. But you know what I mean? Like, it was just, like, not even, like, music I could enjoy or a topic I wanted to listen to. It was all just, like, really kind of conspiracy, like, podcasts. And, of course, like, the person's driving, they absolutely get to pick. I wholeheartedly believe in that rule.
Yes.
You do too?
Yeah, I do too.
That's how I feel. So then it's finally my turn to drive. It is like the West Virginia part of the tour.
Oh, so like services in and out.
Oh yeah, and just pitch black, winding through the mountains. If you have been listening to this podcast, it should not be a surprise to you at this point that I hate driving. So this was already a nightmare. But then on top of that, they're all passed out. So I can't be like, hey, what's this? Or where am I? Or like, how are you feeling about this situation? And I can't play anything real loud. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like playing games in my head, trying to keep myself awake. And then at one point I did miss a turn, took another turn. We're on a gravel road. I woke them all up. They're terrified. Some guy stops in front of me and he's like, you have to turn around right now or you will get in a bad way if you stay on this road. Because I think it was like a one-way street. Like I was lost. So then we finally make it home and it is just like over. We return the rental car and luckily like we're all still friends and I really don't know how they look back on this experience. But for me, it was a nightmare. Like I hate to say it like that because I love them so much and I love spending time with them. But like you would just assume if you get along and you've been best friends forever, then traveling would be fantastic. And in my experience, it just wasn't. And if you guys are listening, love you and see you soon. But like, you know, you can't travel with everyone.
Yeah, I have a best friend like that. We have gone on a couple trips together and in like a perfect world, it would seem like it would be great for her and I to travel together, but I hate it. Okay, I absolutely hate it.
Tell me about it. When was the first time that you discovered like, okay, this is not gonna work for us together?
We went to Disney. Together. And
Disney World?
Disney World. Okay. And we had everything like planned out to a T that what we were going to do. We had all of our days scheduled. That was still when they had fast passes. You had to book them in advance. Okay. We had like a complete itinerary. everything was great. We got our flights and things like that. Well, we did go for my birthday, and it was at the end of August.
Okay. And was it just the two of you?
Just two of us.
Okay.
Florida weather, end of August. It's hot and very, very humid. The entire time she complained about the humidity.
Oof.
She wore the wrong shoes half the trip.
Okay, what shoes did she wear?
I forget.
Was it like flip-flops or like...
At one point she switched to Birkenstocks, but she wore tennis shoes, and she got special ones for the trip because she has issues with her feet. Still complained the entire time. I'm sitting there like going, knees to chest, come on, you gotta go. Come on. Like, we're doing this. And she just complained about everything.
That's awful. I really do not like when people do that, because even if you're managing to have a good time, you're like draining it out of me.
Yeah, and then at one point, like, the Florida rain happened.
Yeah.
Which is whatever. That's not a big deal. And then it ended up being our last day there. It poured the entire time. And we kind of made the most of it. But just like every little thing, she would just complain.
Yeah.
And I don't do well with complaining. Like, just get over it.
Yeah.
And then I've gone on 2 other trips with her, and they were both...
After this?
Yes.
That was so brave of you.
Well, they were bachelorette parties.
Oh.
And we were...
Say less.
Coincidentally, both of them, for people that aren't from Ohio, Geneva on the Lake.
Oh, I do love it there.
That's like the hot destination in Ohio, or one of them, for bachelorette parties.
Mm-hmm. Lots of wineries, beautiful coast. Like, yeah.
Well, so we went for my sister's, and the maid of honor did not do things how I would have done it. Everything was just like, oh, let's just go with the flow. And I'm like I like things planned.
Yeah.
I like to know what I'm doing and things like that. And she's just like, oh, we'll go like here and there. And, I decided we should go to this restaurant. Did not look, because we went after peak season, because we went after Labor Day.
Gotcha.
And their hours changed from after Labor Day, and the place closed at 5. And then she wanted to go at like 6:30.
Well, what was your group size?
I think there was 6 of us.
Okay, that's not bad. Usually, like, it's like 10, and it's like, no, like, you need reservations.
Yeah, and so it was just like 6 of us, and she's like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, then ended up picking this one restaurant. The service was absolutely terrible.
Oof, awful.
The waitress wasn't all there. And
where was the rest of her? Where was she?
Who knows?
Just like spacey, or like...
No. She just wasn't there, and messed up all of our orders. I think we were there for almost 2 hours. Because it took her forever to get our drink orders.
Yeah.
And I think only a couple of us ordered alcohol. Everybody else ordered water. Like, it's not something you can mess up. That was just like a burger, like salad type place. We got all basic meals. Took forever to get us our food. Took her forever to come pick up our checks, and couldn't understand the idea we were all separate.
Yeah.
And then everything was messed up. And then we're like, oh, what are we going to do now? She's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. So, like, was your group the type that was like, oh, I like that it's unstructured? Or was it now just sitting around and crickets as everybody stared like, I don't know, what do you want to do?
We had, like, a couple dynamics. Like, I am a big planner. And there was another girl that she's like a little bit older than most of them. And she was like, I would consider like the mom of the group.
Gotcha.
She was the one where like, okay, well, she would just come up with the ideas. She would say like, okay, we're going to go here. We're going to go there.
And she wasn't the like maid of honor? Or
no, she was just a bridesmaid.
She's just doing the Lord's work.
Pretty much. And I'm very thankful for her.
No, but like, I just think that kind of is a bad situation to put somebody in. Like, that's why it's nice to have an itinerary when you're working with a group. So, I think I'm a pro itinerary gal.
Same. So the next one I did, 2 people that were in the first one were in the second one that I did.
Including the friend from Disney. She's been at all of them?
Yes.
So was she complaining at the Geneva on the Lake experience?
She didn't feel good.
So she was just already... At least you didn't have to deal with that on top of everything else.
Yeah. So then the second one we did, I was in charge. So I had everything. I had the complete itinerary down for everybody. I told you what you needed to wear, what you needed to bring, and what we were doing.
Yes.
And I had everything like orchestrated perfectly on what we were going to do. And then, of course, everybody wanted to change it.
Was this also Geneva?
Yeah.
Lake? Okay.
This time we went in June. So.
Okay, more.
Yes.
Got it.
And we ended up going to like a really. The other thing I should also mention is my wonderful, lovely sister picked Geneva on the Lake as the bachelorette party place for a girl who does not like drinking.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel like there's some things that you can do, but I feel like they're more family stuff. You know, like there's the putt-putt and like...
The bride just wanted to sit in the room and play Cards Against Humanity.
Why are we paying to do that at Geneva on the Lake then?
That's what I said. That is what I said. Oh, she just wanted a very like chill, relaxed weekend. I was like, oh, why don't we just rent an Airbnb someplace with a pool?
Yeah.
Kind of local.
I was going to say, was everybody kind of from the area too that was attending?
A couple of us were from one area and then the rest were from another area.
Like same state?
Yeah, everybody was from Ohio.
Okay.
Like some, a couple of us were from like the same town and the other ones were from the same town.
Okay. But was there any reason that Geneva was pushed? Like, was it closer for people attending or was it all pretty much the
everybody,
same?
it was still like a 3-hour drive.
Gotcha.
For everybody. It was inconvenient for everybody. And she picked that. I'm like, okay, because that makes sense. And then we ended up going to a biker bar and we had really good food.
Yeah, okay.
Because her bachelorette party theme was Death Till Us Party.
Ooh,
Death Till yeah.
Okay, aesthetically, I'm super into that theme. I'm not gonna lie.
So that night we all wore band tees.
Because what was your band tee?
Guns N' Roses.
Ooh, that's a fun one.
It was either Guns N' Roses or Kiss.
Oh, I like both of those because they almost feel wedding-y. Did you do that like intentional?
So the theme on when you walked in it was a nice day for a white wedding, and I put the date of when they got married or when they were getting married, and it was
for theming 10 out of 10.
It was beautiful, and so we all went there, and then we went like. It was, since it's really nice in Geneva in June, we like walked down the little down the road and we would just like walk past, like we stopped at like there's a couple bars that had like outdoor music and we just sat and listened, and they had dogs.
Yeah.
People brought their dogs, and that was like the bride loves dogs, and so that was a great selling point.
I'm not here for the beers, I am here for your dogs.
Pretty much. And then it was so fun. We went to this one. It had like a big sand pit and there was a DJ and like the music was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we were out all dancing and stuff, and then it was 9:45 and she's like, let's go back to the room.
The bride?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the room and let's play Cards Against Humanity.
Were you guys all in one, like did you all have one house or one room or cabin or something?
Yes. We had we just got it was supposed to be a penthouse, but there was only 1 bedroom, no, 2 bedrooms. And it was
6 of you?
Yes.
Said at this one? So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep, they both had 6. So I'm
I'm usually fine like couch surfing or whatever, but also like depending on how much money I spent, that's where I think it gets a little more tricky.
Yeah. This one wasn't too bad, but she just wanted to go. I'm like, first off, I was like, this is my first trip child-free. I was looking forward to this. I'm like, I don't want to go to bed and go back and play cards and be in bed by 11. I want to be out and like enjoy like with people.
And that's extra hard because like earlier I was saying if I would have just like stood up for myself a little bit or been like, I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. If I just would have said what I wanted to do, then maybe I would have had a better time. But if you're in a situation where it's all about somebody's birthday or all about the bride,
it's about,
you can't really, or did you? Did you say like,
I did.
I'll be there later?
Well, I did say, I was like, oh, why don't we just stay for like a little bit longer? And she's like, no, I want to go. And they were already leaving.
Gotcha.
And me and the one girl, I think we walked to the bathroom real quick. And then we came out and they're like, oh, we're all leaving. And then, it was like a fair, it was probably a 5-minute drive to our condo.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm not going to try to Uber or walk that.
Yeah, you kind of just want to stay with, like, your group at that point.
So I'm like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
So then me and another person on our nice 3-hour drive home, we discussed what we should have done.
The debrief. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what was said in that car? Like, was it just unbridled, like, unleashed opinions, or were you guys still kind of, like, playing it nice?
We talked about the pros and cons of everything because she is a lawyer, and so she likes to look at the good and bad of everything. And it was.
Were you guys kind of on the same page?
We were on the same page about a lot of it.
Yeah. It's just hard because it's like once you know after the fact, it's nice to kind of have somebody to commiserate with.
Yeah.
But like when you're in the moment, and especially in situations like we're describing where it's like, I guess not a true girls trip where it's like planned together, devised together, like for a common good. You know what I mean? It's like when it's skewed already for one intention or one person, it's hard to feel like you can have an equal say in the activities or, just go off and do your own thing even.
I think it's better to go as couples versus all girls.
I just stand by this.
Just because you guys can have like all the girls can have their own time and go do stuff. But then if you don't want to do something that somebody else wants to, you can go with like your significant other.
Yeah.
And go do your own thing and not feel bad.
And I feel like it's less pressure, too.
Yes.
And maybe it's, like, my specific group of, women and friends that I've surrounded myself with. But I think we're all a little too similar almost in the fact that it's like, oh, no, whatever you want to do. Like, no, I'm fine. Like, whatever you want to do, that's what we'll do. And then in the end, everybody's a little bit, like, dissatisfied. Whereas, like, when you're in couples, it's sort of just, like, easier to be like, oh, well, we enjoy this and we enjoy that. Oh, you don't want to come? No big deal. Check you later. You want to be in bed by 9? Sounds great. We won't keep you up when we come home, or even better yet, we'll have our own hotel room and you won't even see us unless we have agreed, like, this is when we're going to hang. So, like, for me, after my girls trip experience, I probably would not do one again and definitely not with just them. Totally would love to do a couples trip, though, with them.
Yes. And I think also, too, I'm a big people pleaser. And so I have a very hard time, like, saying no to somebody or if somebody asks me to do something, even if I don't want to do it, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
But if I have my boyfriend with me, he knows what I like and what I don't like, and he'll easily say, like, oh, no, we're not going to do that. Like, you guys can do it.
So when you travel with your boyfriend, do you guys tend to fall in line with liking the same activities and travel styles and stuff?
We haven't traveled yet. But
you haven't traveled yet?
No.
How long have you been together? If it's more than a month, you got to get on it.
I know. But we do have a lot of our interests are very similar.
Okay.
In things. So luckily, like with that, it does work out.
Well, good. So I have one final question. It's kind of a two-parter. Have you ever had just a good girls trip experience where you weren't left feeling just any sort of negativity afterwards?
I went to Minnesota, and that was kind of, and we went to Mall of America.
Okay.
Well, I went out there because my best friend was getting married, and we were going to a bunch of bridal expos and things like that.
Okay.
If you consider that a girls trip, but.
In the worst way. I'm sorry. That is like, because it's a task. It's a chore. Like, I've done all the bridal things for all the people getting married, and like, it's not, you can have a great time. Absolutely. But again, it's just a different environment. So my second question is, would you try again? Like, or are you going to stick more to just couples moving forward or larger groups, mixed groups, stuff like that?
I'm not opposed. Maybe it just needs to be a different situation.
Got it. Yeah. So we're not giving up.
Yes.
We're going to keep trying to make this idea of a girls trip work. And if you are listening to this and you can relate to us at all, please let me know, because until I talked to Sarah, I thought I was the only person that had a bombed girls trip experience and everybody else was doing it right and I just couldn't figure it out. So honestly, I'm really thankful that you all, well, I feel bad for you, that you also know what it's like, but it's good to know that it's not always as picture perfect as it looks on Instagram or when people come home and tell you about it.
Also, too, always use a travel agent, because the biggest mistake I made was I did it twice. I booked the wrong hotels. One was in a very, very bad area, and we were doing an excursion, and I had a guy laugh on the phone. He's like, "Oh, honey, that's right next to the jail in a bad area in Florida." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
What was the excursion?
It was a bus to take us to Clearwater and back.
Okay.
So they were coming to pick you up from the hotel, and you had to tell them the hotel.
Did you book direct or through something?
I booked through something.
Okay.
And he, like the rep, he was like, "Oh, honey," and just started laughing. And so I love my mother. She like quickly got on Google and called my uncle in Florida and got me. Yeah. And
Thanks, Mom.
And then the second one was I did this. I was being cheap. And
okay, I can be guilty of that too, though.
I booked a hotel, and in the hotel room they still had a box TV.
What year was this?
Like 2013.
For any younger listeners that we have, a box TV is basically just 30 pounds of metal and equipment on the back of what you think a TV is today.
Yep. And then there was mold everywhere and like questionable things, and I should have known it was $50 a night.
Yeah, all right. That is
I was 21. I was young.
Red flag. Okay, that helps. 21 also, though, you're like, I just need a bed. Like, you don't realize how much you necessarily want cleanliness as well.
Always use a travel agent.
Yeah, always use a travel agent. And honestly, I think that's a good set for a girls' trip, a good advice for a girls' trip as well, because the biggest thing with me is assuming that we had the same travel styles.
Yes.
A travel agent is going to take you through all of that and what they call the qualifying process. And get you guys on the same page and take sort of that weird drama or political stuff out of it. So that's learn from our mistakes, use a travel agent for your girls' trip, and then nobody will be bashing them on a podcast.
Yes.
So best of luck to you guys out there. And Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your stories.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to have you back because I feel like we are just tapping the surface of some crazy stories.
Oh, yes.
So please keep listening. We're going to be bringing you new stories, new opinions on Friday mornings or whenever you can fit us into your schedule because, hey, we're flexible like that. And if you have any stories or opinions you want to share with us, please do so in the comments or anywhere on social media using the hashtag #TravelStoriesUnpacked. This podcast is brought to you by KHM Travel Group, which is a leading host agency for independent travel agents. So you can learn all about that at khmtravel.com.